What's happening, fight fans? Welcome back to the MMA Mindset channel. Bit of a hiatus, went on holiday, doing some other stuff, but back on it now. I'm back pushing out loads of interviews. Back just kind of picking up where we left off with another Rise and Conquer interview. I'm here with Fraser Paterson, who's fighting Jaffer Mukisa on the 7th of October at Rise and Conquer. Fantastic fight, one that a lot of people have got a lot of eyes on. But no, thank you very much for joining me, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, mate.
Like I said, a lot of people when this fight were announced were like, "Yeah, this is a great fight," and it's kind of a fight between two of the brightest stars coming out of the UK, especially yourself being only 18 years old. That's when I found out you were only 18, I was a bit taken aback because to have six amateur fights at 18 years old is a bit crazy. How are you feeling 2 weeks out? How's training been going? Camp been good?
Mate, training's been class. It always is. I'm just looking forward to this fight, man. Just training really hard every day. It's all I do, really, to be honest.
Well,
Just training.
I saw you. You'd kind of spent some time out since your last fight, and you've been able to train full time, and you'd gone to Thailand as well at Bang
Oh
Tao.
yeah,
What was that experience like?
mate, that was unreal. Just going somewhere, a completely different country, completely different continent. Every single training partner you have has like a different style, different background and stuff. And like, see, when you're doing like rounds with someone for the first time, it's like similar feeling, not quite the same, but similar to having a fight because you get that sort of nerves. You don't know them, don't know what they're like, So that was just a sick experience. I trained with loads of guys, UFC, Bellator, PFL, all these sorts of guys. And then learned loads like Brad Riddell. He was coaching loads of kickboxing classes there. Frank Kickman coaching wrestling. So I felt like I really probably leveled up after that experience, man. Really.
Yeah, even in just a month as well, I think it can kind of take your game
Yeah.
from here to here, and especially at your age, there's not many people your age going out there and spending that time there. Do you think that kind of gives you an advantage over the rest of the people in the amateur scene?
Nah, it's definitely a cool experience to have at my age, like going on there on my own, like on a little solo mission. I sort of felt like it was, and like experience the culture as well because that was super cool. Just eating the Thai food, going down the beach in between training sessions. No, I felt like the value I took from that it was really really good.
Yeah, have you got plans to maybe go back next year?
I'm thinking about it. I'd love to go to Brazil. That's like another place that's on my list. So like I'll have a look at because Brazil would be pretty cool. Do jiu-jitsu in the home of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
So
it's mental because I'm a bit older than you. I've got about 10 years on yourself. And when I first started training and stuff, you're amateurs. We're amateur. We trained in leisure centre halls in burned out basically YMCA buildings, and now you've got like you guys going to Brazil and Thailand. It's a completely different sport nowadays, and it's so good to have
uh,
you guys kind of coming up and the future for UK MMA looks really bright, I think, and it's all thanks to you young guys and obviously your trainers. Where have you kind of spent most of your time for this camp? Because I know you've got Grip House and you've also got Aberdeen Combat Centre, I think.
so I was back at Aberdeen Combat Centre till about the start of this month. So I'm there over summer while I'm not doing uni. And then as soon as uni starts back up, I'm here at the Grip House. So I've been at the Grip House maybe 4 weeks, the last 4 weeks of the camp so far. So that is another benefit, like mixing it up between different training partners, different coaches, getting those different looks. So
Yeah,
last 4 or 5 weeks have been Grip House.
yeah, great gym up in Grip House. Obviously with Reece McEwan and guys like that. And I see Reece comments on a lot of your stuff as well. What's it like to kind of have someone like him to lean on for his experience? Because I've got a lot of time for Reece. Like I love seeing the lad. I love speaking to him, and he's a fantastic fighter. He must be a good person to kind of have around.
Oh, 100%. He's sort of like, obviously, Dean's the head coach, but Reece is like the captain of the ship. He leads the way for everyone, sets the example. Because like he's always in working hard. He's fighting on Cage Warriors, going to be fighting for the title soon, I'd imagine. So it's really cool having him, like seeing him lead from the front, show us like all the path we could go down if we follow, you know.
Yeah,
listen to him basically.
I think he'll be in the UFC soon, so
Oh,
we'll kind of keep
100%.
an eye out for that. But obviously, just speaking about your previous fights, you're riding a 5 fight unbeaten streak. Obviously, you had that draw in there, but apart from that, you've been pretty much perfect. How much confidence has going on this streak given you so early in your career as well?
I mean, yeah, it just feels good to have your hard work pay off, really. Like, I train basically full time. I study fights all day, watch fights, training hard. So, like, obviously, yeah, definitely confidence coming off of that. Like, I've just felt like in my last few fights, I've been much better than the guys I've fought. And, like, that's not to say I fought bad guys. It's just I felt so good in there. Just feel, yeah, super confident, like you said. And I know I put in the work, so it's just happy to have that reflected in your performances. And especially that last fight, I felt like there's always been a big difference between how I feel in training and in the fight. That last fight, it was like, felt like I was almost sparring, just more intense. With someone trying to take up my head off a little bit more. Like, I just felt relaxed. I was thinking, I stuck to the rough game plan we'd mapped out. So I was really happy with how that last fight felt.
Yeah, you got the finish as well, and it was a
Yeah.
fantastic performance, and I think that's kind of put a lot of people on notice. Obviously, 2 finishes in a row, both by triangle choke. Is that kind of something that you wanted
Yeah.
to keep going, that little streak of getting the finishes?
I don't know, because obviously you get a triangle. It's like nice to get the finish, but it means you ended up in your back. And obviously you never really want to end up in your back in an MMA fight. So there was that last one, it was just Sam was really good with that bridge and roll from Mount for some reason. He just caught me off guard with it twice. The first time I swept him, and the second time I triangled him. So it's nice to get it. And but I would like to be able to stay on top and just land loads of ground and pound and just smash them. But it's nice to get the finish. And also, well, I was thinking that, oh, I can't be having this happening again. But I was watching some UFC fight, some old school fights the other day. I was watching Genki Sudo and Satoshi Sauza,
Yeah.
and they were both really famous for the triangles. So I was like, oh, I'd love to keep on getting triangles and stuff, but it's probably not like something I should be going for too much, because you obviously want top position.
Switch it up and get the mounted triangles in there as well. Like,
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
definitely. Another fight against someone who trains in the area and spends a lot of time in the area where the fight is. Do you kind of like fighting in so-called enemy territory, and do you kind of get a bit of a more motivation and a buzz off that?
I like I did enjoy it last time. Like, to be fair, I was expecting to get booed, but the crowd, they were really sound. They didn't boo me, but they really cheered for Sam. But I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, it's just sick, because the atmosphere. I'm sure you've been to the shows before. It's like a arena with, I don't know, I'd guess nearly 1,000 people there. The atmosphere was absolutely amazing. To have them cheering for the other guy, and then at the end, they're clapping for me and stuff. That feels nice. And there's maybe less pressure when it's not your home area. Like, last time, I don't think I knew anyone in the crowd apart from my teammates, basically. So it's like, you go down there, it's like going behind enemy lines almost. And you just call it, oh, you've got a mission, you've got a goal. You're just there to get it done. There's nothing extra.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I think it'll be more of the same this time round as well. It's going to be a packed out crowd. There's loads of top fights and guys from the area fighting, so they'll bring loads of people. So it's going to be a good platform kind of to showcase your skills on. Just talking about the fight in hand, how do you kind of see this fight going with Jaffer? Because he's got kind of a lot of skills, but kind of skills that are differing maybe to where you're strong as well.
Yeah, so obviously he's got quite a good record. I think he's 7-2, which is a good record. But I was looking at, he's not really fought that many good guys. Like, he fought someone who's 5-0 and got smashed with 3 rounds. So, he's got a few finishes and stuff. I've watched, there's not too many fights of his online, but I've watched all the ones I can find. I've got a good idea of what he likes to do. I've picked up on a few things, some bad habits that I'm sure I can capitalize on. See, I will see how it goes. I always come in with 2 game plans. One, if we're striking, and one if we're grappling. I never say like, oh, I'm just going to grapple with this guy, or oh, I'm going to look to strike with this guy. It's like, part of my striking is my grappling. It's the threat of the takedown. So I'm always going to add that, and it's up to them if they stop it or not. So if I don't get the takedown, I've got a great idea of what to do on the feet. I think I'll beat him there, and if I get the takedown, I think I'll drown him basically.
Yeah, should be a super interesting fight. Are you aware of kind of the threats that Jaffer's going to bring into the cage, and have you kind of thought about the stuff that he does well and how you're going to combat that?
Yeah, for sure. Like I've taken a load of. I've actually got a note sitting here that I wrote on a post-it note of like what he's good at and how I'm going to deal with that, and also some of the things that does badly. So that's definitely at the forefront of my mind. Like obviously, I'd say maybe his biggest. He's obviously very powerful and he's quite athletic. So that's probably the main things we need to look out for. Like if I do end up in a bad position, just needs to jump on a submission and because he's quite athletic, should finish it. Or um, maybe if he lands a couple of shots, I'm sure he's pretty powerful because he's dropped. I mean, one of the fights I was watching, I think he dropped him 3 or 4 times. But I don't think he can do that to me. My defense is like, when striking, my defense is my priority. And I think I take pride in my defense on the feet. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I'll be comfortable anyway.
Yeah, but I'm proper buzzing for this fight, and it was one of the ones I was most excited for. Obviously, should you win this fight, go out there, no injuries and anything like that, do you kind of see them maybe rewarding you with like a title shot in the future? Because you'll be 6-1 by that point as well, and 18, that's just blows my mind. And I think you should basically have the opportunity then to kind of fight for a strap.
Yeah, so there's 2 things on this. So the first is most of my fights have been at 80 recently, just because obviously being young, I don't have cut massive amounts of weight. So I think maybe for a title, I would be willing to cut that extra weight just, for the belt. But at the moment, I'm fighting at 80 most of the time, so that's maybe a bit of a problem. But I know there is a title fight at 77 on that night. I think it's Paul Kane and someone else.
Daniel Myers, I know that lad well.
Yeah,
He's
that's
he's
it.
he's a good scrapper.
I should be matched up with Paul Kane later in the year as well. That's something that's been in the talk for a different show. So I think if he wins that and then we fight later on, it's basically my belt anyway.
Right, well, let's can't wait. I think it's such an exciting time for UK MMA at the moment. Like, I think you see like the American people kind of getting behind their regional scene, but I think the UK is kind of getting up to where the American regional scene is now with the amateurs, and we're kind of seeing the rewards of that by all of the English people and the British people and the Scottish people and everyone having such success in the big promotions now. So yeah, I'm a super buzzing for the for the sport. I saw a little video when I was just trolling through your Instagram page of you playing about with some 4-ounce gloves and hitting some pads, and it sounds
Yeah.
ridiculous to say, but 2024, is there any chance maybe looking at going pro, or do you want to kind of just keep getting the experience first?
I'm not sure yet, to be honest. Like, obviously, being 18, I've got all the time in the world. Like, I could have another 20 years of fighting. Like there's still plenty of people in the UFC when they're 38. So it's definitely not something I'm looking to rush. I've always said probably wait till I turn 20 just to make sure I have that physical maturity. To like obviously there's things like man strength and stuff that you don't get to your 20 or like something like that. I think yeah, definitely make sure I've got developed the physical maturity. I'm gonna start lifting weights a lot more after this fight. So it's definitely not something I'm looking to rush. But if it comes to the point where I can't get any MMA fights at the amateur level, maybe I can't get any Muay Thai fights because that's something I might be looking to do. Then yeah, I'll go pro. But definitely not rushing or anything. Like just at the moment, my priority is just developing all my skills as a fighter, gaining as much competitive experience as possible. Like I compete in jiu-jitsu all the time. I've competed in wrestling. Just making sure I'm comfortable in a competitive environment, developing different skills, and then when we think the time is right, yeah, I'll go pro. But probably once I'm 20, so maybe another year as an amateur.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that you kind of want to hear, but it's just the reality of it. I think if you keep doing how you're doing and keep developing your skills and keep this streak going and competing in all these other sports and only being 18, 19, I think you might actually start to struggle to get fights because I've
Yeah,
seen people maybe like my age, late 20s, nearly 30, who have lost to people who are 18, and they're like, oh, he's only 18 and that, and it kind of works against them. So I think if
yeah.
you keep doing what you're doing, I think you're going to have to be kind of digging for those fights a little bit more. Just looking
Yeah,
over the next couple.
something.
Go on, bud.
So something I'd like to do is I don't know if you've seen the IMF World Championships and stuff.
Yeah.
I think if I could get the opportunity to do something like that next year, that's something that'd be super beneficial because they get like 5-6 fights in a week. So that'd just be an unreal experience and against opposition from all over the world. So that's something I'd love to do.
Yeah, it's things like McEwan did and George Staines, who's turning pro now. They all did that, and they've got loads of fights in their amateur career. And obviously, everyone's looking at them like they're going to be some of the next big things. So that'll do well for your career. Just quickly, how does the next couple of weeks look for you leading up to fight week? I know we've got like 2 weeks left. How are they kind of set out? And are you going to kind of start putting the foot on the brake a little bit?
Yeah, so this week that'll be my last hard week of training. I'll probably have my last sparring session on Friday, get the last finishing touches. Then fight week, I like to stay active fight week, like hit pads, do some drills, just make sure I'm still getting like the feel of like grappling and opposing opponent. I'm still making those reads in the striking. Because I know a lot of people like to chill on fight week, but I like to keep moving. But obviously the priority is just making the weight when it comes to fight week and staying healthy. So yeah, I'll get all my hard work done this week, and then next week I can chill a lot more.
Yeah,
Focus
definitely.
on recovering.
Definitely. And then last of all, prediction for fight night?
Prediction. I think second round finish. That's what I'm looking at. I think the first round, make my reads, get a feel for him, and then second round, I think either some sort of counter shot on the feet or a ground and pound finish. That's what I'm looking at.
Well, like I said, heard it here first, and all the best of luck to you. And I can't wait to see this fight. I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna be eagerly on the edge of my seat watching this fight because I think whoever comes out, and even the loser, the winner and the loser are going to both come out of this fight, and everyone's still going to be thinking that these guys are running the scene for the next few years. But thank you very much, Fraser, for jumping on with me. I've really enjoyed it, mate, and I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem.
Good.
Go get your tickets. October 7th. I don't even know if there's many left, but Rainton Arena. Go get your tickets. Fantastic card. Little Red, Nathan Haywood versus Ian Postlethwaite for the main event. Going to go off. But make sure you get to the Fraser Paterson versus Jaffer Mukisa fight. But no, once again, mate, all the best. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks, mate. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. Bye now.